Was there a lot of shame in telling people you were dealing with that at the time?
I didn't know that I was dealing with it because I'm like a workhorse, like you said, I'll just go do the work. And in the moment, I also get really lost. It's one of those things, dude, like it's no real shame telling people about it, because at the end of the day, like, people do need to hear that, because if it can help somebody else that's going through the same thing, that's ultimately why we're here.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, from Orange County, we got Kye Daley here today. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip out here. And your whole thing is fitness and health, right?
Yes, sir. I've been in personal training and health coaching for around about 20 years almost. So, yeah, I've been doing it a fairly long time.
Damn, 20 years.
Yeah, man.
A lot's probably changed in that space in that time.
Yeah, I mean, from when I first started, the journey that I went through, getting started in personal training was pretty crazy. But, with all the new things that are coming out now, even some of your old guests, Gary Brecker, guys like that, really starting to put a stronghold on the industry and making a huge emphasis on health.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's really changed a lot.
I like how it's going more data-driven and analytical now.
Well, it has to be. You can't have true change in someone unless you really know where things are coming from.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't understand baseline parameters, especially with the human body, how are you supposed to correct and change those things and make them better? I mean, I think, just on that point, a lot of people are so stuck still in today's society with instant gratification, wanting to have that look, but not really wanting to invest a lot into their knowledge
100%
about how to get there. So I think that's where it's really changed the most, which is great.
Yeah, wanting the look and not having the work ethic.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. The work ethic part of it, I think, is where a lot of people go astray. We've got things like Ozempic on the market now, semaglutide, all of these different weight loss drugs, which, I don't necessarily agree with a whole lot, because it's just making things essentially far too simple for people. Like, people put themselves in those positions. And I think as a human race, like, we are spending too much time in that instant gratification of what we can get right now for the money that we can pay.
100%. It's too easy now.
It is. It's far too easy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Ozempic, actually.
No, dude, I've been so against it ever since it first came out. I mean, like, it's so easy to see what's actually going to happen on the other end of it, especially the way that it's being used. Even, where I'm from specifically, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but, like clinics and things like that, just handing it out like it's candy.
Really?
Oh,
so you could just walk in and get it?
Any wellness clinic will sell it to you if you have the money.
Wow.
And that's the sad part about it. I mean, I know Gary's spoken about it many times. I know, huge people, Andrew Huberman, those guys have spoken about this particular drug at length and what it's actually specifically designed for. I really do believe that people are just taking huge advantage of a situation when they don't really need to. We all want to look and feel a certain type of way, but at the same time, if you're not willing to earn it, what's the point?
Yeah.
You're just putting your body into the same place, and your mental state, most importantly, in the same place. If I can get it right now, then why not? Whereas, well, how did I actually get myself here in the first place? What brought me to this place? And shouldn't I learn how to undo that for the future? Because I think so many people just sit in that. Like, they just sit in that mode of mental stuckness, and that's what's bringing today's society and community, especially in fitness, to where it is.
Yeah. What do you think some of the long-term effects of this peptide craze will be?
Well, we all know there's a significant loss of muscle tissue while using Ozempic, because you just can't feed the body enough, especially in a sense of a society right now.
Yeah.
Today's society is eat less, do more, right? We're all trying to be in a quote-unquote calorie deficit. That word is thrown around way too heavily, in my opinion, because before you can even be in a calorie deficit, you have to actually make your body healthy in a calorie maintenance to begin with.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just putting deficit on top of deficit on top of deficit, which is slowing your metabolism to a point which I see every day working with people, to the degree where we have to then do 6 to 8 months of undoing, of trying to rebuild their metabolic response and help them to understand, because it's not just the slowing of the metabolism, it's the mental state that they go through as well, because they think that, oh my God, I'm going to eat more food, I'm going to get fat. That's not the case. Like, your body requires a certain amount of energy on a daily basis. But with this peptide, you've got people that are already in extreme calorie deficits, just trying to get rid of that last little bit.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Or get themselves in the best shape that they've been in, which is putting them into an even heavier calorie deficit because it obviously kills the hunger hormone ghrelin. And, you know, you just don't want to eat. So you're then suffering an even more damage to your metabolic response. On top of that, losing muscle tissue because you can't feed the muscle. And after it, what happens? Well, you're now either stuck in that place or you really have got a very hard, long road ahead of you if you want to come out the other side.
Yeah. So is there a time and place for a calorie deficit? Because I just had Brian Johnson on, and he's actually on one every day, which is pretty crazy. So do you think there's a time and place for that?
Well, it depends on the person. It depends on their goal. It really does depend on what they're trying to achieve. But I don't personally believe that you should be in a calorie deficit long term. I mean, if you want to continually starve your body, then cool. If you never want to get better at performance, then cool. If you never want to be able to shed ultimate high levels of body fat and build more muscle tissue, then cool, stay in a calorie deficit. But ultimately, as we age, we lose a certain specific amount of muscle tissue every single year. It's like 1%.
It's pretty high.
Beyond the age of 35, as hormones decline, as our bodies start to slow down, metabolic responses is slowing with us. And if we don't continue to trigger muscle tissue and we stay in calorie deficits, how are we ever supposed to actually keep that muscle tissue full?
Right.
So food and nutrition and feeding your system is incredibly important for making sure that you can maintain a healthy body.
Yeah. Is there a way to reverse that 1% muscle loss?
Of course, yeah. I mean, like if you're weight training, specifically in a hypertrophy setting, anybody can build muscle tissue. It just takes certain people longer periods of time than others. But I think that a lot of people get, again, it's that instant gratification. Like, oh my God, this is going to take me 12 months to build. Are you kidding? Like I could go get Ozempic and lose 40 pounds in 3 months.
Right.
Well, it's not about that. It's about actually having the active tissue on your body that actually going to support you long-term for longevity.
Absolutely.
And that's where people are getting so confused right now. They're all stuck in this, I want this right now. Like, I want the nicest looking right now, and I'll do anything to get there apart from the work that's actually necessary to get it. And the faster I can get there, the better. Whereas they should be thinking, well, if I spent the next 12 months actually taking care of myself, taking care of my metabolism, taking care of my internal health, taking care of all of these things, then for the next 3 years, I'll continue to cycle that and be in a way better position when I'm in my 40s, in my 50s, as opposed to a decrepit old person, you know, walking around like a hunchback. So,
right. I think social media has definitely amplified that I want it now mentality.
Yeah. I mean, you see it every day. I have to really battle myself a lot in going in on certain coaches and things like that online, man, because I mean, it's not the energy that I want to put forward,
right.
But like it gets really frustrating for a guy like me who's been through my own health journey and, you know, being overweight when I was in high school and then getting anorexia and not having those tools that I needed to be able to get to that point, seeing people, you know, just with clickbait and getting that fast bit of information to access that instant gratification in people's minds. We're just feeding it constantly. Whereas as influencers and people with high levels of influence, they could really change that just by giving the right message.
Absolutely. Damn. So you had anorexia and you were overweight?
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of someone having both of those.
Well, when I was in high school, I was a really late bloomer. You know, I went through it with the whole bullying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what really led me to health and fitness in the end, as it does with most traumatized people.
Right.
But you know, after high school, I did it all the wrong way. Like I was one of those people. I starved myself, dude. I was down to 114 pounds.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
And you're pretty tall.
I'm 5'10". I wouldn't say tall. I mean, I know some people out there that would call me a short king. But, you know, I lost a lot of weight really quickly. It was around about 100 pounds in 9 months.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was just running, cycling, swimming. I didn't actually see my mum and dad for about 3 years.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And when I first rolled up to my mum, she was like, get in the car now. We are going to what is wrong with you? Where have you gone? And
we're going to a buffet.
Yeah. Well, she's like, we're going to the doctor straight up. And it was at that point the doctor told me, he's like, you need to turn it around. So here I am today.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how overweight were you?
Look, in all honesty, I was probably 5'5" coming out of high school. I had a really late growth spurt. And I was about 220-ish, but like chunky.
At 5'5"?
Like, but no muscle, but like
Jeez.
full-blown marshmallow. So at that point, it was like, I need to do something about it. My roommate was like, just start coming to the pool with me. And, you know, we got into the whole triathlon thing and started doing the swimming, the cycling, the running. I loved it. It was great. But yeah, that really changed the trajectory. I had a growth spurt during that time as well. Lost a whole bunch of weight, got super obsessed with it. And yeah, just took it way too far.
I'll say this though, like, I'm sorry you went through that first of all, but being able to experience both of that made you a really good coach, I bet, because now you can take care of clients that experience both.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it's more about these days, you know, beyond bodybuilding. It's definitely one of those things for me to be able to dive more heavily into people's mental health and help them through certain things that they're going through.
Right.
A couple of my clients have got eating disorders. A couple of my clients are and always have been overweight, where I'm really trying to help tap into that mental side as to the why. You know, unleashing some of their trauma from when they were a lot younger as to why food is, you know, such a crux in their life and why they can't move away from sugar and, you know, what's good things, what's not. But yeah, it has helped me to be able to identify and really relate to people on a deeper level because I've been there and I know how hard it is. But it hasn't been till, you know, probably the last 2 to 3 years of my career that I've really started to hone in on taking a lot more patience with people and really trying to understand their why. Whereas before I was just like, just do the work.
Results
like,
driven,
what's
right?
wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, like just do it. This is the plan. Just follow the plan. You'll get the result. That was always something that I told people.
That's how I was as a boss for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're just workhorses.
Well, yeah, we're workhorses, but I think it's also because we've experienced it. We let our egos get in the way of it a little bit sometimes too, and we're just like, why can't you see it? I did it. You know, why can't you do it?
Right.
But we don't really take the time to truly understand where that person's been and what they've gone through to get themselves to that point. So
that's
where my
really
focus
cool to
is now.
see you incorporate the mental health in the physical health. I've never seen a coach do both.
Yeah, I think, you know, as I start going through these new parts of my chapters in my life and new pathways on my journey, like it's really helped me to understand that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life and people make mistakes too. And we need to be a little bit more caring and nurturing towards that and helping them to understand there's still a better way. Like we can help you to change this if you really want to change, but the person has to be on board for wanting to create that change as well. Like we can't force it.
Yeah, because with those eating disorders, there's a lot of mental component to that, right?
Oh man, like it's insane. Like I can tell you straight right now, like when I would get out and go for a run first thing in the morning, I'd run 10K.
Damn, that's 6 miles.
Yeah, dude, like easy. Like just go hit it, 30 minutes, done, get home. I wouldn't eat. I'd get on my bike and then ride about 32 kilometers to work. And then I would get to work and I would eat like 6 celery sticks, a small handful of almonds and maybe an apple. And then I would constantly be going up and down stairs and getting as many steps in as I possibly could while I was at work. And just not eating, dude. Like it was just one of those things. I think I would tap out maybe between 400 and 600 calories while I was going through that.
Oh my gosh, that's nothing.
They even got to a point where like my parents would say like in the early stages, hey, come out for dinner. And I'm like, yes, sure. Like, cause we owned a restaurant and I'd be like, yep, I'll be there. I'd go eat the food. I'd go purge it in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Just cause I was so obsessed with that scale weight coming down every single time I stepped onto it. When I mean every single time I stepped onto it, could be anywhere between 15 to 20 times a day.
Dude,
yeah,
you were obsessed.
I was completely obsessed.
That's like once an hour.
I might have addictive personality. I'm not really sure, but yeah, no. I think with everything that I do, that addictive tendency kind of comes out, and now trying to reprogram it myself by then helping other people with those things.
Right. Was there a lot of shame in telling people you were dealing with that at the time?
I didn't know that I was dealing with it because I'm kind of really blasé about all these things. I'm like a workhorse, like you said. I'll just go do the work. Like my dad, when I went home for Christmas this year, threw 3 cubic meters of soil, and he's like, "I need you to shovel this into a garden." I'm like, "Bet, let's go." Like it doesn't faze me what it is. I'll do the work. I'm not afraid of doing it. And in the moment, I also get really lost in that moment as well. So I get hyper obsessed, and this is just what needs to be done, which is what made me a half decent competitor in the bodybuilding space. So yeah, it's one of those things, dude. Like it's no real shame telling people about it, because at the end of the day, like people do need to hear that, because if it can help somebody else that's going through the same thing, that's ultimately why we're here.
Right.
Yeah, we all get put on a journey, right? Our journeys are all different. We're all unique. And the way that we approach those journeys, I think, is a story to tell to people so that, A, they can choose whether or not they want to make the same mistake or not, or whether they want to learn from it. So,
damn. So you were dealing with this while you were a bodybuilder?
Not the anorexia stuff, but like,
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, being a bodybuilder after coming out of anorexia is hard.
Yeah.
Like, initially when I first started trying to gain weight, it was very difficult. I was very conflicted. I would still go out and run while I was eating, 3,000-4,000 calories a day, like just to try not to get fat. But it wasn't until a point when I actually got pulled up by one of my really good friends, Billy Simmons. He's a natural Mr. Universe and a vegan as well.
Wow.
Yeah, he said to me, he's like, you just need to stop. It's like, we would go and sit for breakfast. I'd watch this dude eat 20 eggs in one sitting.
Wait, he's vegan though?
But he was vegetarian at that. So he's swapped him.
Okay.
Yeah, he went like vegan after. He won Mr. Universe as a vegan. But
That's
before
insane.
that, previously, he was vegetarian his whole life.
Wow, I thought all the bodybuilders ate meat.
No, dude. If you're a genetic phenom like him, like that guy can look at weights and just grow. Like, I've never seen anything like it. But he's also an expert martial artist. He's played Batman at Movie World. Like, he's done so many crazy things that most people would never be able to do just because of his mindset and who he is. But yeah, sitting there watching this guy eat 20 eggs, I started to really think. I was like, well, if I want to be that big, I'm pretty sure I've got to start doing some of those things. I asked him, I was like, how much cardio do you do? And he was like, none. And I was like, sweet, cool. So I obviously started to learn along, with these guys in my corner and these guys in my circle, and started to practice all of those things.
Interesting. I would assume bodybuilders did cardio to get more chiseled.
They definitely do when it comes to the dieting side of things. Is it necessary? I mean, to get to the ultimate levels of being bone dry peeled, I think it is absolutely, necessary. It also depends on the time frame that you're prepping for too.
Right.
Like if you're prepping for a 12-week period and you're starting at 12 or 13% body fat, you're gonna have to do some cardio. I don't care what anybody says. But if your starting point is 8% body fat and you've still got the same time frame, cardio may not be something you'll have to spend so much time doing. You can definitely easily manipulate that with weight training because they're two different energy systems.
Got it. So walk me through a competition. So how much time do you have to prep for one on average?
Well, typically most people think it's 12 weeks just because of social media and social expectation. Believe it or not, if you want to be as good as you possibly can, I'd be taking the longest possible route. Like natural bodybuilders, guys that don't use performance enhancers, will typically prep for 6 months.
Wow.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, man, they're trying to preserve as much muscle tissue as possible. They've worked their off to build that muscle tissue.
Right.
Wouldn't you want the best possible cause to be able to get there, to be able to preserve as much of it as you have? I mean, body fat's one of those things. It's a very difficult thing to lose just body fat while maintaining your muscle tissue.
Right.
And that muscle tissue's got to stay fed. You have to continue to bring yourself back to different levels of maintenance during that prep. You can't stay in a calorie deficit the whole time. We just spoke about that. If you're constantly staying in calorie deficits without the performance enhancers, the likelihood of you maintaining muscle tissue is next to zero.
So you'll just lose muscle.
Absolutely, because you're doing so much too, right? You have to understand that like you're doing a lot, your body is constantly under stress, you're doing cardio, you're doing weight training, you're trying to recover. Most of the time we're not eating enough protein or high quality proteins or essential amino acids to be able to refuel the system. It's like I don't want to say it, but a cluster of different things that are happening in the human body at one time trying to just get shredded. So you will lose muscle tissue if you try and do it too quickly. It's very, very common. But with natty guys who don't have the PEDs, they don't have those performance enhancers to help hold the muscle tissue, they've got to spend a significantly longer period of time. So bodybuilding is a sport of patience, but nobody has any patience. So why would you think, and the normal person that comes into it's like 12 weeks, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
Because it just means I can't eat donuts for 12 weeks and then I can eat them after I'm finished. Whereas you tell someone you got to prep for 28 weeks, they'll look at you and be like, you're crazy. This person told me I can do it in 12. Please go do it. Yeah,
That's why
you're
there's
only
so
making
many
yourself more and more unhealthy.
Right. And that's why there's so many more unnatural bodybuilders, right? Than natural. 'Cause it's way easier.
It's, easier in a sense of getting peeled. Yes, I will say that. Is it significantly more dangerous? Absolutely. I mean, performance enhancers are not for the weak-minded, not for the weak-hearted, and definitely not for people who want to stay very healthy long-term.
Oh, yeah. You see a lot of them die young, actually.
You do, because, I mean, at the end of the day, again, it comes down to I just want to take the drugs, but I don't want to do all the other things that are necessary to be able to keep my health in the right place.
Right.
You know, you get a young 24-year-old dude, do you think he's going to be taking his steroid shot, then following it up with milk thistle tablets every day, you know, different B vitamins to make sure that his blood stays healthy, all these different things to make sure that everything stays in the right line, blood dumps every 3 months. You know, there's a lot of things that go into that you have to be prepared for. Damn. Not to mention, they don't even think about the aftermath. Most of these guys that I encounter in this industry will come to me and say, man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I've got no energy. When did you have your last shot of testosterone? Oh, 3 months ago. Did you taper off? Absolutely not. Did you take HCG? No. Did you take Clomid? No. Did you take anything post-cycle to help switch on your natural testosterone production? No. Because the only thing that they know and they understand is the thing that's going to help them get to the muscle. That's it. That's all they want to know about. I just want to get huge. I just want to be a bodybuilder. I know I have to take steroids. But they don't know about anything else that goes beyond that.
Right.
So it's becoming really freaking dangerous.
TRT's pushed pretty mainstream now too.
Well, TRT, again, like I think there's a time and a place for that. Just like the semaglutide situation. You can walk into any hormone clinic pretty much in California and say, I feel tired. I'm not getting good sleep. And they will put you on TRT regardless of what your hormone
And they won't even measure your...
They will.
Oh, they will?
They have to. They have to do a blood test. They have to... And their biomarkers that they do in their blood test is extremely short. They don't cover everything most of the time. I had an experience with a hormone clinic actually out here. I'm not going to say the name because I just refuse to run people into the ground. But their process was essentially testing my hormones through testosterone, my estrogen. They did not test pretty much anything else besides the blood platelet levels. So those ones are important, like your hemoglobin, hematocrit, those sorts of things. But they're on baseline tests, and they only tell you so much about what's going on. Now, when I did this test, my testosterone was, and I'll be honest about this, it was at 1,500.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's the highest I've ever heard.
So, well, 1,500... I'm a TRT patient, right? But I play around with my TRT protocols and make sure that like every other marker stays in line. But I did not know that was going to be the case.
That was too high for you, right?
That's way too high, dude. I need to be at like 800, 900, right? But I did not know that was going on. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, okay, some of the things that I was feeling, some of the things I was experiencing at the time definitely suggested that testosterone was too high. But they still approved me for hormone replacement therapy.
What?
Yep.
Dude, because 1,500 is dangerous.
Well, it's $400 a month for them.
Yeah, true. They see you as a number on a paper.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about how many clients can we get, how many people can we have on the book, and how many people can we be giving these drugs to? Because the more drugs that we sell, the more money we make, the more people we have on the books, the more money we have coming in on a monthly basis.
Right.
And there's no duty of care. I spoke to a lady who didn't actually know what LH stood for on a blood test, which is luteinizing hormone.
Jeez.
And she was apparently a nurse practitioner. So, you know, it's one of those things, dude. It is. It's really scary. And a lot of people out there don't know what I know. So how are they supposed to understand what they're really getting when they're going into these things?
Yeah. I was in the 500s, but I raised mine naturally, man. I think everyone should try to do that first.
Yeah, well, I've actually, from the anorexia and the issues that I had when I was younger, they believe that actually shut down my natural endocrine system.
Completely?
Completely, yeah, because I actually did a cleanse, I believe it was over the course of 3 months, back when I was like 24, 25, trying to bring my natural test back because I didn't want to be on TRT forever. And it just never came back, even through those homeopathic cleanses and things like that. I mean, I'd be really interested to really dive in with a guy like Gary and sort of get his feels on that, because if everything can be fixed from a baseline, then everything can be fixed from a baseline. Yeah. You know, I'd really like to see what that looks like nowadays.
Yeah, the body is really powerful.
Exactly. It's one of the most adaptive things on the planet. Like we adapt to cold, we adapt to heat, we adapt to stress, we adapt to food, we adapt to alcohol, we adapt to pretty much anything that we can throw at our body. It will adapt to it to some degree and keep us healthy for a period of time until it decides that it doesn't want to do it anymore.
Well, the fact that you became a successful bodybuilder without being able to produce testosterone, that shows your mental strength right there.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of grit and hard work. I mean, I have no genetics, period. Like, it was disgraceful where I started, dude. Like, I mean, I literally, if you had have zoomed out and like I've been standing there, I would have looked like a really tall, lanky basketball player.
Yeah.
But I was like not. So, and I'm basketball too. So, yeah, I was not really good for anything apart from running long distances really quickly.
Oh, you were a distance runner?
Yeah. So I did triathlon, short course triathlon in Australia.
I was a mile runner in high school.
Yeah, dude, I loved it.
Mile was
absolutely
fun.
loved it. Yeah, the mile's like, that's chill. Like, let's just go beat it right now.
Yeah.
Like,
What was your best mile?
I don't know, dude. We don't do miles.
Too short for you, right?
Yeah, well, the mile in Australia, obviously we have kilometers in Australia. So what's 1.6 kilometers?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I did a 12K race in Australia, and that was one that I actually was timed for in 38.
Holy
yeah.
That's fast.
Yeah, so that
So
was
your mile
my
might have been
best.
like 4:20.
Maybe. I'm not really 100% sure on the math.
I've ran
It was
5Ks.
quick.
Yeah.
That was quick.
My 5Ks were like 17:30.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
good.
Not too bad.
That's pretty good. I mean, my last 5K definitely wasn't that fast.
Well, you're older now. That was me in high school.
That was like, I don't know, maybe just less than a year ago, we went and did a charity run.
Yeah.
And worst decision I ever made, man. My whole body was just destroyed.
Oh,
after
when you
running
stop
5K.
running and then you start, it's
it's hardcore.
brutal.
It's very
And
tough
running's
on the body.
actually controversial these days because of all the joint, I don't know about damage, but just it's tough on your joints, right?
Well, not only joints, it's also really hard on your body in general. You've got to look at the energy systems and how we burn energy in our body. Running is extremely high impact. With that impact comes a very high calorie burn. And what a lot of people don't know, for all the runners out there, when you're running for extremely long distances, you're just chewing into your glycogen, which is your muscle tissue's energy store. You're not actually burning fat majority of the time. Like, majority of your energy burn comes from glycogen. Once the glycogen's gone, guess what's next? The next fastest viable way for our body to actually get nutrients is by chewing away at our muscle tissue. So it's a very catabolic sport.
I could believe it, dude. Distance runners are twigs.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I was one myself. Like, I know what it was.
I was 4% body fat in high school.
Oh, 4?
I had no muscle. I'll show you a photo. I'm like 132 pounds, 6'5".
Insane.
It was disgusting.
When I was running, dude, I know for a fact that my body fat percentage was probably between 12 and 15 at 114 pounds. So you can imagine how much bone and stick that actually was.
Yeah.
But, I mean, traditionally, marathon runners are not shredded because they're just putting their bodies under so much stress all the time. It needs to insulate itself because fat's a safety mechanism for the body too. So it's not really the best thing for people if they're trying to lose fat. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it to anyone trying to lose body fat. But if you're trying to lose weight, then have at it. I mean, it's a really good thing. But if it's for your mental state too, just make sure you're eating enough food to be able to substantiate the calorie burn and the energy burn that you're going through.
Right.
I mean, I'm not here to try and take anything away from anybody. Running is so powerful for so many people's minds because it clears their mind, the endorphin rush, all of those good feels that they're getting from it, which is great. But at the same time, you've got to look at what your goal is, what you're really trying to achieve. Are you trying to be a long distance runner or are you trying to be more healthy long term?
Yeah.
So pick and choose your battles.
So that being said, in your opinion, what's the healthiest way to lose weight?
The healthiest way to lose weight, and I'm going to say it is a calorie deficit, but is making sure that your metabolic response with your body and having as much good lean muscle tissue as you possibly can. I mean, I've experienced fat loss just by lifting weights. I mean, no cardio, just focusing on steps. Your NEAT exercise, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is probably the most effective fat loss tool that you can get. And that's just steps. So the amount of steps that you get in a day directly correlates to an amount of calories that you'll actually burn. So if you're getting 10,000 steps a day, you should be burning anywhere between 900 to 1,100 calories just from those 10,000
Wow,
steps.
that's a lot.
That is. But imagine that with someone who's actually in a calorie deficit, right? Let's just say their basal metabolic rate suggests that they should eat 1,300 calories a day sitting still with their eyes open, breathing, not moving, right? Then they're going to the gym and doing 250 to 300 calories in a weights training session. You're now up to, 1,600 calories. You're then going for a run and burning 400 calories. You're now at 2,000 calories. There's a big difference between your basal metabolic rate and what your total daily energy expenditure is. Now, if you're pushing your body beyond that again and then adding a group fitness class on top of it because you're a psychopath, you're burning another 500 calories. That's 2,500 calories, but you're only eating 1,500 calories because you're afraid of being fat. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to start slowing your body down. It's going to go into a massive fight zone and just be constantly stressed.
Damn.
You're never going to get a result beyond what it was that you set out to do in that initial adaptation phase.
Yeah.
So once you're outside of that, what do people do? They start cutting calories further. They keep doing the same exercise. And they're just chewing away and killing themselves.
Yeah, you got to track your stuff. And that's an interesting take because a lot of people are promoting fasting these days.
Yeah, I mean, I could have my 2 cents on fasting. I mean, I've done fasting. I've literally tried every diet type there is out there besides carnivore. I just don't fully agree with that. Intermittent fasting I've tried. I lost close to 18 pounds in about 3 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. Well, think about this. The body's going to absorb nutrients. I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably going to crucify me for this, that'll say, it doesn't matter whether you get 300 grams of protein in 2 hours or over the course of 24 hours. Yes, it does. Because your body can only digest so much protein at one time, right? We have a stomach, we have a small intestine, we have a large intestine. Once the food matter hits the stomach, it's broken down, pushed into the small intestine, and that's where our body derives all protein through. Now imagine trying to put 300 grams of protein into your body in such a short time frame of window when we know that it can really only absorb between 30 and 50 grams in a sitting depending on the person.
Really? That's it?
Dude, it's not a high amount.
Oh, because people try to drink like 60-gram protein shakes in one sitting.
But again, it comes down to how much protein is your body actually taking from that protein shake.
Right.
There's guys out there that have scientifically proven that there's only a very small percentage of protein that's going to be utilized from things like whey protein because it's not technically very bioavailable by the body, just like egg whites. A whole egg yields, between 46 and 48% of quality protein for the body, whereas a protein shake is like 16%. It all comes down to the digestion. It all comes down to how your body actually breaks that down and uses it. So it does. It factors in. If you're putting in an 8-hour window, 300 grams of protein, I guarantee you the amount of protein that your body's actually utilizing is a significantly smaller amount than what's going in.
That's good to know.
And to try and put all those calories, you got to remember that's a lot of stress on your digestive system because your digestive system is responsible for breaking everything down and feeding our body to help it recover.
Right.
I just don't, the common sense, it just doesn't make any sense to me as someone who's been in this industry for such a long time and seen and heard so many different ways to do it. I personally believe the best way to do it is just to eat a good, healthy, balanced diet, hit your protein requirements, get good quality food from organic matter, make sure that it's grass-fed, pasture-raised, wild caught, organic, no pesticides, and do the best that you possibly can and make sure you're just hitting your protein goals. It's a lot simpler than what people really give it credit for. But again, there's so many different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there telling us all these different things that we just get shell-shocked by all this information.
Yeah, that's a big thing Lane Norton says. There's just so much information.
Yeah, it's crazy. The most crazy thing to me is that everybody is only going to tell you what they know. Now, if you don't know how food, essential amino acids, and all of those things really work at a baseline molecular level, then who are you to tell anyone that your diet works better than somebody else's?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, the human body requires a balance. It requires a balance of all of these different things. We're half herbivore, half carnivore. We do need plant matter in our diets to help with digestion. We need water and a lot of hydration. But there's people out there telling you that you shouldn't drink too much water. Like there's people out there telling you that you need to drink 2 gallons of water. There's people telling you that you can drink alkaline water and become alkaline. Like that's just complete and utter nonsense. You're never going to be alkaline unless you remove all artificials from your body completely. But there's also still people out there that drink alcohol every weekend and tell you to be in a calorie deficit and eat pizza and you'll be fine. Like there's so many things out there. It just really depends on how much knowledge you want to acquire, how far you want to take it, and where you want to see yourself as the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Kyle, it's been really informative. I've learned a lot. Where can people learn from you and see what you're up to?
You can find me on Instagram, Coach Kye Daley. We also have a website, macroculture.com. And yeah, just reach out at any point in time. I'm happy to talk to anybody. So
Awesome.
Yeah, any which way that I can help. I believe this is my purpose, and it's why God's put me on this planet. So I just want to be able to help as many people as I can.
Beautiful. We'll link your stuff below. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely,
That was great.
Man. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank
for
you.
watching, guys, as always. See you tomorrow.